Hi, my dearest of family. So today we are going to be looking at Uranus retrograde and Pluto retrograde as well, because actually they are connected. Last week in my weekly forecast, I started talking about how many planets are actually, stationing retrograde or moving direct and so forth. So this is going to be happening obviously now with Uranus turning retrograde and Pluto shifting back into the sign of Capricorn. So we've got 5 stations during this week. So Ceres and Mercury station direct. And then we have Hygeia, Uranus, and Sedna stationed retrograde. And pretty much this happened within a week period, within actually a few days. And stationary dates can feel like, when everything stops for a second or a two. It can feel like that nothing is moving forward. It can feel like that my life is slowing down somehow. It can feel like that something is very heavy in the air. Maybe it's a little bit more difficult, for example, with Mercury to verbalize something. You can feel frozen. You can feel like you are in a mud, and then you cannot lift up your leg. And just because we've got 5 planetary energies happening at the same time, it is quite heavy. But as usual, it will be broken down for the 12 signs as well. So if you are curious about that, maybe you want to be joining my YouTube membership, where you will be receiving additional 10 videos a month. And also you can get some free webinars as well, if that's something you are interested in. And also I've got a very super cool course coming up. It's going to be 6 week, where we are going to be looking at your family imprints, your family karma. And I'm going to show you some techniques, such as, for example, a prenatal solar eclipse, how that can be revealing something about your own family karma. So this is going to be a little bit of a healing course. So if you are interested in this, check it out. It's going to be starting, I believe, on the 2nd of October. Each lesson will be approximately about 2 hours for 6 weeks, and you will learn everything you need to know about family karma. So, but today, let's focus a little bit more on Uranus as well as. Oh, sorry about that. I had my alarm going off. I don't know why my alarm is set, but sometimes it happens. So we're gonna be looking at Uranus as well as Pluto. So with Uranus, any of the planets, whenever it is going retrograde, it is a little bit of an inner work, an inner journey. We're meant to be rediscovering that inner rebel within us. It is telling us to be okay with who we are. It is telling us that we need to be embracing those unique qualities that what we have. Uranus is the planet of awakening. So, for example, it can tell you that it is okay to accept that we are all different on certain levels. It is telling us to walk away from certain type of situations that are quite muddy in the sign of Taurus. Um, Uranus is called as the mad scientists. So obviously, if you think about that, the mad scientists always come up with some weird technological advancements, then this is really telling you that it's time to innovate something around your self-worth, Taurus, something around your finances, for example. Maybe we need to be thinking outside of the box. How else, in what other ways you can make, for example, your living? Also, Taurus represents strength. So maybe you need to be looking at why you are weak, how to get stronger. And it's not just the physical strength, really, but it's something to do with the emotional as well as psychological strength as well. Uranus also represents something that we tend to be rejecting. So it might be something that you have been rejecting for a while, and we need to be revisiting that. We need to be facing it somehow. Often Uranus is bringing kind of like emotional turmoil, a storm into our life. It is telling you that, yeah, there might be certain type of rules, how to complete a task, but you don't need to follow the rules all the time. You can live up to your own moral codes as well at the same time. Uranus tells you that it's time to liberate yourself from any type of rules, for example. Remember that Pluto is moving back into the sign of Capricorn as well. So it wants to bring changes around rules also. This is the constellation which tells you to free yourself up from that muddy situation that you have been stuck to. Uranus is one of the most, Taurus is one of the most stubborn signs, meaning that it represents our comfort zone. So we meant to be getting out of our comfort zone. We meant to be upgrading something in our life. And obviously, it highly depends on what house that Uranus is falling into currently in your transit chart. This is about breaking rules. So, you know what? I mean, there are rules for a reason. So I'm not saying that, we have to be just throwing them out of the window. Obviously, there are rules set by the government. You cannot cross the red lights. Obviously, the police is gonna force certain type of rules onto us and so forth. But this is more to do with, because this is a retrograde one, this is more to do with your rules that you have created, those internal moral codes. Maybe the reason why I don't want to be doing, for example, online work is because of certain type of belief systems. This is also telling you that you might need to be revisiting some of the things that ignites you, some of the things that makes you passionate. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we had the current Jupiter and Uranus cycle that started in the sign of Taurus as well. And one thing which I would like to mention for you, remember that Uranus uh, entered a pre-retrograde shadow on May 15th, 2024. And that happened on 23 degrees 16 minutes in the sign of Taurus. And then Uranus turns retrograde on September 1st, 2024 on 27 degree 15 minutes Taurus. And then Uranus will station direct on January 30, 2025 on 16 degree, 3 degrees 16 minutes Taurus. And then Uranus will leave the post-retrograde zone on 17th of May 2025. Now, why am I giving you these certain type of dates? Because the 23 degree, where Uranus went into a shadow period, basically that was really close to that Jupiter and Uranus conjunction as well at the same time. Right? So this is something to do with the bravery. Jupiter is being about optimism, and Uranus is, both planets are about freedom somehow. Because Uranus is more of a collective planet, so it might be affecting you not only on a personal level, but on a collective level as well. And both Pluto and Uranus are associated with certain type of changes in our life. This is a radical evolutionary process that is happening within us as well as in the world. And you might want to be going back to that May date to see what was going on in your life, because now you can have these aha moments coming with this Uranus. This altogether, this aspect with Uranus and Pluto, this is this is a major transformation that is going on, but you might need to be going back to basics with it to see what needs to be done. Uranus It has started teaming up with the two outer planets and Neptune and Pluto, which I'm going to be making a separate video about because this is something that is going to be around till 2028/2033. So that's going to be, I think, one of my next videos. That's very important. Basically, what happens is that Pluto in Capricorn is making a trine with Uranus. And it looks like that, which Pluto is the planet of power. It wants to give power to people to express their voice. Taurus is the vocal box, the voice box. This is very much about changing how much the voice of people can change the outcome of something. So there is an element of a unity coming with this. Pluto tends to be exposing something. So it might be exposing something in government. It might be exposing certain type of corruptions, for example, when it comes to, for example, banking systems and what type of stuff they do. Pluto is kind of like dictatorial. So Uranus wants to free us up from any of these dictators. For example, how do we allow the government, Capricorn, to dictate our own lives? And Uranus, when it becomes too rebellious, it goes on the streets and then it starts protesting and all those type of stuff. So we can see those type of things, especially if it, for example, went down in May as well. Now, I didn't go back and check what happened in May, so I'm going to leave that with you, and I'm sure you guys remember, and then you're going to post under in the comment section as well. So Uranus Pluto for me is very much about being an activist against something. And then we've got that Neptunian influence there as well. So we cannot actually leave that out. But Neptune is being, the planet of like it's misleading. So with Pluto, do I put my trust into someone? And then Neptune says, no, I shouldn't be putting my faith into someone because everyone is lying among politicians. And then Uranus is trying to somehow reveal something on the internet, for example. So most likely we're going to have all these, happening in the world, but it's affecting us as well at the same time on a personal level. Now, when Uranus is actually going retrograde, it's making an opposition with Pallas Athene in the sign of Scorpio. So Pallas Athene is about strategies. So this is telling us that with this retrograde, we need to review our strategies. We need to review our own plans. We need to do certain type of modifications on those. That's highly crucial with this. If we don't do that, again, we are not updating our own plans. We are not updating our own uh, kind of like desires, then unfortunately we're gonna get stuck in a mud, and then we are going to be Pallas Athene is a warrior princess type of energy, so there's no other force, but there's no other chance but to force you to make a change. Obviously, there is this opposition going on between them two. So this is something to do with out of balance. So also, Pallas Athene is connected to recognizing patterns in our life. So with Uranus, which is about kind of like the planet of walking away from something, we meant to be walking away from old patterns. And that is connected to finances. That is connected to what we have, our own values, what we owe. Maybe, obviously, we have been too focused on power and what controls our own life that we have forgotten about how strong we are. This is about embracing the change, allowing yourself to be transformed. And oppositions often talk to us about the possibility of something in regards to relationships as well, though. So, what is my relationship with freedom. What is the relationship with money? Am I a spender? Am I a, kind of like someone who is sitting on a pile of money and then we do not want to be spending a penny because it comes with an element of a fear. So Paula Satini wants us to explore our fearful side as well. What is holding us back? And those walls need to be broken down. Maybe someone told you, because opposition often indicates an external force. So maybe someone told you that you cannot do something. Someone told you that you are not worthy. Someone taught you that this is the right way, and then we need to do it, this way. Otherwise, it's never going to work. And then this is telling us that I need to be walking away from all those. So on one hand, this would be one of the, I think, messages with these Uranian expressions. Now, at the same time, I also would like to dive deeper a little bit in it, because Uranus is also about disruption as well at the same time. And in the sign of Taurus, this is about being stubborn. So maybe we meant to be looking at our old security systems, so therefore our defense mechanism, and why we resist any type of change, because Pluto is coming into the picture, going back into the sign of Capricorn, and it tries to break down the wall around you. So when it comes to, your old security system, think about habits or attachments or even anything around physical issues as well. This is something that you have been holding on to. This is something that you are storing in your own body and you're not letting go. And this Uranus is telling you that, yes, now you might be getting this intuitive hit. And all of a sudden, what could happen is that something that you have been attached to, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter anymore. Something that you cherished or something that you valued, you realize that, you know what, there is more to life than this. So there could be this very strong, deep urge to break free from something. And these might be connected to relationships, arguments, compromising things. Why am I saying that? Because the dispositor of Uranus is actually Venus. And Venus is in the sign of Libra. It just shifted into the sign of Libra. You can see that Venus is on 2 degrees of Libra, so already in conjunction to the South Node. And South Node is a point what we meant to be letting go of in our life. So it looks like we need to be walking away from certain type of outdated relationships, for example. Also, Uranus tends to be shocking us. So in the world, for example, how I can imagine that there is going to be a certain type of shocking contractual agreements, because Venus is in the sign of Libra. Like 2 countries are pairing up, for example, or there is a contract being signed by, let's say 2 politicians or stuff like that. And then we tend to be quite like, what is going on? I never expected that type of thing. And maybe this has been talked about since May, but we might not have known about it, for example. So with Uranus, there are some shocking news, for example, about finances that could be coming in. Also, often Uranus kind of pulls us into different directions as well. And in the sign of Taurus, which is also about our needs, our survival needs, with Taurus, we tend to be preserving something. So with the Pallas and Uranus, it could feel like that we are getting torn apart. I'm getting pulled into different directions. So this is kind of like the debate between my fears and my survival needs. Now, of course, Pluto is in the mix as well, right? So very interesting. Uranus is turning retrograde, and then within 24 hours, Pluto actually exits Aquarius, which is in modern astrology ruled by Uranus, and then it goes back into the sign of Capricorn. And with Pluto, things get intense. This is this is an earth sign. So surely all these are really connected to something physical in our lives. But Pluto is the planet of death. It wants certain type of rules to die. It wants a authority figure to die somehow. It wants us to walk away from certain type of traditions, something that is outdated, something, I mean, just imagine that you go to the fridge, Taurus and Scorpio axis with Uranus and Pallas Athene, and then you have to be throwing things out of that fridge because it's moldy, it's smelly, but maybe you want to save it type of mentality you've got. And Pluto comes in and then tells you, yes, you can heal that particular item, for example, or no, it needs to be disposed completely. With that Pluto, we are somehow forced to look at our own fears, to see your own power in different ways. This is about redefining your own power. Pluto will station direct, by the way, on October 11th at 29 degree of Capricorn. Pluto is meant to kill something because it's the planet of death. And what is death? It's about, an elimination of something so that it can revolve. It can be, it can evolve. It can be reborn. So it really looks to me that a change, Pluto, is gonna come like out of the blue. I'm a little bit afraid that this is gonna bring earthquake somewhere, to be honest, because we have got a lot of earth now with these two combinations. So something is shaking up the earth, and Pluto is also quite the planet of devastation. So it looks to me that something is gonna be happening around that time, to be frank. But let's see how it plays out. Um, so we know that Pluto has left, Capricorn back in March 23, 2023. So a good 1.5 years ago, right? Um, it was in the sign of Aquarius for what, 1.5 years. So this is going to be the last hooray of Pluto in the sign of Capricorn until November 19th. And then in our lifetimes, this is not going to be happening anymore because Pluto has got this very long orbital period. So it could feel like that an era is coming to an end as well, though. This could be bringing major political changes. This could be something that you have never dreamt of before. This Pluto is about dismantling something, kind of like it's blowing up things. This is about deconstruction of something coming to an end in our lives, and you don't need to be crying over this. Remember, Uranus is about to change sign as well. July 7th, 2025. However, Uranus will be back into the sign of Taurus on November 7th, 2025. So Uranus, whatever is showing you now, it's kind of wrapping. It's kind of showing you what needs to be wrapped up in your own life. And then if you're not ready to make these changes now, it looks like you know what, you're going to get shocked then next year. It really feels like that this Uranus is showing us what type of preparation, what is outdated in your life to walk away from, so that the Uranus in Gemini is, which is going to be connected to what? The choices we make, the messages we get, the intuitive messages, the gut feelings, the way we communicate, what we experiment with, and so forth. Um, um, this that Uranus is someone who is trying to enlighten you of something. It's very intuitive, so you need to be listening to your inner voice now. So here are some questions that you might want to be asking yourself in the upcoming days. What does freedom mean to you? What does financial freedom mean to you? Also, what is freedom overall to you? Because Taurus is somehow connected to our physical body, but this is the exalted sign of moon as well. So that's your mind, that's your heart and your soul as well. So what does it mean to allow your body to get free from any of those chains? What makes you feel safe, or what makes you feel unsafe? What is your own truth? Because Uranus represents individuality. So do you, or are you aware of who you actually are? Can you be someone different than what you have been told to be? If you wanted to be an unapologetic version of yourself, how would you be? What would you do? You're going to have to become clear about it, because Venus is in the sign of Libra. Are you a people pleaser? Are you trying to please others? Are you trying to meet other people's expectations, desires? Are you afraid that you're going to get rejected by them? So, what are your inner demons telling you? And those inner demons are other people as well as your inner voice. Also, the Plutonian element is in the sign of Capricorn is about structure. So Uranus is trying to break down certain type of structures and walls within you. It's trying to break you away from limitations. Think about emotional patterns as well, because the dispositor of Pluto, Saturn, is in the sign of um, Pisces, and it's still conjuncting Nessus. So in what ways do you abuse your own power? How do you allow others to abuse your own power? And there is that Pallas Athene there, which is about patterns, Scorpio. So looking at your own emotional patterns. How do you react to situations? How is your nervous system looking like? What makes you feel anxious? What do you do when you're anxious? Is it about stuffing your mouth with food and chocolates and so forth? Because potentially there is no meaning in your life then. Do you feel small somehow? Now, that could be also a topic, because Taurus is kind of like a child within us. If we look at the cross quadrants, Taurus and then the Leo element, and then we have got the Scorpio and the Aquarius, they have got something in common. And Leo is the young adult. So the Taurus is a little toddler. And obviously, a little toddler is pretty much, reliant on others. So, what are the patterns that you have been repeating all over again that needs to be said goodbye to? Remember, Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus since 2018. So some of the bits and bobs got revealed to you around that time. And what we have seen in the world is that with Uranus in Taurus, the financial sector changed quite significantly. Obviously, cryptocurrency, the digital nomad life, um, digital entrepreneurship. We've seen a lot of things in the food industry, the agriculture industry as well. Obviously, all these plant-based type of things, the technological innovations when it comes to, the meat industry, um, the takeaway type of things, these Uber type of things got really popular. Obviously, we are evolving somehow. Also, maybe the way we earn money, there are more and more entrepreneurs, right? There are more and more people work online as well. So, and internet has become especially a great source of income for many since the COVID period as well, right? So, but now it needs to be upgraded. This is not enough. We need to start thinking outside of the box. What extra can I offer that makes me stand out? Taurus is also about, in a way, beauty. It's a Venusian territory of our chart. So what does beauty means to us? And Uranus, obviously, in Taurus, what also became very popular is the body positivity, which on one hand I agree with, surely, and on the other hand, I do not agree with. So I've got a bit of an issue with both ends, really. And obviously, because Pluto is in the picture as well, it can become too extreme. But the realization that something is rooted within our body and that needs to be explored with Pluto, that needs to be transformed, that needs to be revealed around our insecurity. So, security, finances, liberation, individuality, freedom, our possessions and belongings, all those are changing right now. All those somehow need to be upgraded. There needs to be a new way to relate to these things. Also, Taurus represents the earth. So hopefully we're going to start seeing some, increase around what to do to protect the earth a little bit more. So Taurus and Scorpio is very much the axis of rubbish. So the Taurus is the consumption, while Scorpio is the waste. So that might become quite a big topic coming up as well. So, guys, I hope this is helpful. I know I have spoken a little bit more about Pluto retrograde um, rather than, sorry, I've spoken about Uranus retrograde rather than Pluto. But because Uranus is the faster moving planet here. So therefore, what it pretty much tells us is that Pluto is kind of giving the support for us to be making those certain type of changes. It is trying to transform those Uranian keywords in our life. So this is one of the reasons why actually I wanted to speak about Uranus a little bit more. But, Capricorn is also about responsibilities. So, do I need to be responsible for everyone? Do I need to feel other people's pain? Or it is also about your long-term goals as well as your ambitions. So it looks like we're going to have to reevaluate those as well. The goal around money, the goal around our self-worth, our psychological makeup, and so forth. Some of us will get to know maybe, kind of like an opportunity. For example, to be in a new career department. Some of us will be transforming our social status, for example. Some of us, unfortunately, will be discovering some kind of like unwanted truth about their bosses, about their work structures and so forth, such as work is going to be doing this and that, and then we were not taught, for example, and so on. So some type of uncomfortable truth. But if you kind of start dismantling outdated structures in your life and you embrace the change with Pluto, then it will grant you lot of possibilities that you, when you look back 3 4 years time, you're gonna say, you know what, that was the best possible thing that could ever happen to me because I got forced out of my comfort zone and my life changed completely. But currently it can feel really challenging. This Pluto is kind of criticizing you. This is, some of us will be extremely compelled to make big shifts and changes in our life. This is Capricorn is kind of like an inventory. So also we need to be looking at what we have achieved in our lives, what we were responsible for, what were our plans, what we have achieved so far. And some of us will might get upset. Some of us are trying to make those changes in their lives, but we keep running into certain type of walls and obstacles. So basically blocks. And it can feel like whatever changes I want to be making, I just run into challenges and then I'm tired of those. Also, at the same time, this could really talk to you about that you have been kind of like with the Uranus, what I'm thinking about is that you have been holding on to something and it might be connected to resentment, trauma, and then we are meant to be on a healing journey now. So, because when you go through the healing, you come out a lot stronger. And this healing period is a good 2 to 3 months for you this time around, because Pluto will be turning direct, in a couple of months' time, basically. So that's the whole idea here. Well, anyway, guys, thank you very much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Take care.